This is the new Audi A6 e-tron. Now if you remember earlier this year, Audi announced that all even numbered cars are going electric and all odd number cars are going to be ICE versions. So this is the new A6 e-tron. It has nothing to do with the A6 we know and love in India. It's a completely new platform, the PPE platform co-developed with Audi, and we're going to be spending some time with it today. We're going to be talking styling, interior, the features that it gets, the driving experience, and everything you need to know about it. But before we get into all of that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Evo India channel, and leave a comment down below. What do you think of the new face of Audi? Let's first talk styling, because the styling is a radical departure from everything we know about Audi. You've got a split headlamp design. This has configurable DRL, so you can actually set up how the DRL looks from inside the car. You've got the split headlamp design. The headlamps are actually sunken into this black mask and are actually concealed. You can't really see them too clearly. You've got a solid grille. This is an EV after all, and this black mask also actually conceals the ADAS elements in there, so it's a very clean look up front. Over on the side, you'll notice 21-inch wheels, big wheels on this car. We don't know what spec is going to come to India. You've got the S-Line badge over there indicating that this car has the sportier design kit. You've got flush door handles, and you've also got this black bar that runs along the base of the car. Audi calls this a design element to indicate where the heart of the car is, because the battery is right over there. At the back, you can actually see the sportback design element. So this is a swooping roofline. The A6 e-tron can also be had in an Avant, basically an estate, but that's not going to come to India. This is. You've also got this new tail lamp element. Again, these DRLs are configurable and they match the configuration of the front. And something that's very cool, you've got the illuminated Audi rings at the back. This is the first car to get illuminated Audi rings. Usually at this point, I'd head inside the car and talk about interiors, but there's one more thing I need to tell you about the outside of the A6 e-tron, and that is the fact that this is the most aerodynamic Audi ever made. And that's because you have active cooling flaps, a narrow greenhouse, the sloping roofline, the optimized underbody, a diffuser at the rear, aero-optimized wheels, and on international variants, you'll actually get aero-optimized virtual mirrors, which are essentially just camera pods, which have a lot less drag than these mirrors. And the last trick it has up its sleeve is the air suspension that slams it 20 mm lower to the ground, making it a lot more aerodynamic, giving it a coefficient of drag of 0.21, making it the most aero-efficient Audi ever. Now step on the inside and you'll see that this is Audi's new interior layout. We've seen it in the Q6 e-tron before, and now it's on the A6 e-tron. In terms of what you get this curved display over here with a large instrument cluster, which is an evolution of virtual cockpit as we know it, and this massive infotainment screen. And this is really nice. It's very large, very easy to use, and it's a lot better than the twin screen layout that Audi used to have earlier. You still got your AC controls and heated seat controls in here, but much easier to use than before. You've also got a third passenger screen over here. When you're sitting in the passenger screen, you can't really see this because it's curved towards the driver, and that passenger screen sort of makes up for it. In terms of the fabric on the inside, there's a new fabric which is really nice. You've got lots of storage areas. You've got a large bin here, you've got cup holders here, you've got a large storage area here. In terms of features as well, this car doesn't have it, but you can get a panoramic sunroof. You can also get heated seats, massage seats, and you also have a P&O premium sound system. Another interesting thing to note is that the headlamp switches have been moved to the door and they're no longer on the dashboard. One of the big talking points on this A6 e-tron is the augmented reality head-up display. Now, this is essentially a large head-up display with a lot of color and a lot of information. So when you're driving along, it actually overlays information on the road, and it's very nice to use. It's very difficult to capture on the cameras, but it's a really immersive experience when you're inside the car. Now coming to the back seat, in terms of space, you've got adequate knee room. This driver's seat is set to my driving position. Headroom, despite the Sportback, is okay. It's not too bad. I've got about 2 inches free, and the under thigh support is a little limited. Typical EV bugbear, because the floor is so high, your knees are in an upright position and it's not the most comfortable place to be. Now interestingly, China is getting a long wheelbase version of this A6 e-tron. India, probably is not going to get it. So unlike Mercedes and BMW that have engineered their long wheelbase cars for India, this is probably going to come as a short wheelbase, and it's going to be focused a little more on the driving experience than on the comfort in the back seat. So what is the A6 e-tron like to drive? Well, let's start with the fundamentals. This is underpinned on the PPE platform. We've seen the PPE platform before on the Q6 e-tron. Now, this is the VW Group's premium electric platform. So it's underpinning cars from Audi and Porsche. The new Macan is on it, the Q6 e-tron is on it, and now the A6 e-tron is on it. This is the first time we're driving a sedan-like car with this drivetrain and platform. It's a complete skateboard platform, so it has no relation to the A6, you know, so this is not like an A6 that has been electrified with a facelift and all of that, nothing of the kind. It's a ground up new development. The platform is bespoke, proper skateboard architecture, so your batteries are low down in the floor and your motor is, well, in this case on the rear wheels, but in other cars you can get it on both axles as well. Coming to the specs, in terms of the battery capacity, this has a 100 kilowatt hour battery. Big battery, and that gives it big range as well. On the WLTP cycle, Audi claims 756 kilometers. Now this is on the A6 e-tron performance variant, which is what we're driving. It is the longest range variant in their lineup. You've also got a smaller battery variant, and you've got the S6 e-tron, which has a, well, the equal size battery but more power, two motors, so obviously it sucks more power from the battery. So in the A6 lineup, this one has the most range, and it's a fair bit. Now in terms of real world range, I think you can expect around 500 kilometers on a good day. We started today with a little over 400 kilometers, but these hills around Tenerife are very twisty, very windy, lots of climbs, so it's difficult to give you an exact number in terms of what consumption will be like and therefore what range will be like. You remember the old A6, it was front wheel drive, but this A6 e-tron, not front wheel drive, proper rear wheel drive, one motor on the rear axle, and it's a fairly powerful motor as well. It makes 372 bhp, and when you do launch control, it can crank itself up to 382 bhp. So a fair bit of power, 580 Nm of torque. 0 to 100 is 5.4 seconds, and it feels quick. You know, you step on the accelerator and it's just effortless performance. We've got so spoiled by these electric cars because of the way they deliver their performance. It's so immediate, so instant, and despite being heavy cars, they just compensate for it with big power. And that's the same here. It's properly quick. Your frame of reference for cars in this category on the ICE side usually have 2-liter engines. You know, they're making maybe 180 to 250 horsepower depending on what state of tune they're in. And then when you jump into something like this, immediately it's a lot more powerful and a lot more effortless. And of course, it's silent as well. I mean, it's an EV, so you can't hear anything. I can whisper in this cabin and it still feels loud, you know, it's so quiet in here. Talking loudly just feels wrong. Now, being an electric drivetrain, you do get regen settings, and Audi has changed things up here a little bit. So you do get your paddle shifters, which allow you to toggle between coasting, which means no regen on lift off the throttle, and maximum regen. You usually find a sweet spot with the higher regen settings because they just feel more natural in terms of the way they decelerate, and it's almost akin to engine braking in a car. But what Audi has done here differently is given you the option of a B mode. So you need to toggle it from the gear selector over here. You push it down once and you go into B mode, and this is effectively one pedal driving. So you don't really need to use your brakes. If you want to slow down aggressively, just get off the accelerator and it will immediately start slowing down quickly, and it will even come to a halt if you needed to. So in traffic, in town, you can just drive with one pedal, anticipate where you need to stop, lift off early and glide to a halt when you need to. So that completely negates the need for the brake pedal. And fundamentally, how the system works is also very interesting. So Regen is usually done through the motor, so the motor actually allows you to regen, and you only have a motor on the rear axle over here. So the regeneration and the slowing down is happening from the rear axle. But too much braking on the rear axle can unbalance the car. So what Audi has done is actually linked the mechanical brakes and this regen system in one control unit. So the car can actually engage the mechanical brakes under regen settings as well. So you may not be physically pressing the brake pedal, but the car is activating the mechanical brakes and slowing you down at the necessary speed, which is very interesting. The brakes themselves, they feel pretty natural, pretty seamless to use. Audi's brakes have always been the better of the lot compared to Mercedes and BMW when it comes to their EVs and how they feel. They felt the most natural, and that continues over here. You do get drive modes, so you've got your comfort mode, your dynamic mode, your efficiency mode, and they tweak and change stuff around the car to make it drive a little differently. So your comfort mode slackens up your steering, your suspension is not as stiff, and you can just glide along very comfortably all day long. It prioritizes comfort in the cabin, and that's very obvious. You can dial it up to dynamic, that tightens up your steering, your throttle is more aggressive, it feels quicker off the line as well, and it firms up the suspension a little bit. Now, we haven't spoken suspension. This one comes with air suspension as an option on international markets. Not sure what it'll get in India, whether you will get air suspension or you get steel springs with dynamic dampers. That's unclear as of now, but my guess is they will bring air suspension, because from the looks of it, I don't have the ground clearance figure on me right now, I'll put it in a super, but from the looks of it, it's a low car, and for our roads, that air suspension will just allow you to lift the suspension wherever needed and just make driving it through our cities and on our bad roads a lot more effortless. Now the big question is, does it handle? This is a sportback, it does look very sporty, and to be fair, the physics are there. You know, you've got your battery low down in the floor, you've got a motor on the rear axle, rear wheel drive, your front wheels don't have to do anything but steer. And it does feel quite nice. So in comfort mode, it's a little roly-poly, it's a little soft. The steering isn't as quick, so you've got to turn it a little more. It's also lighter. So comfort mode is best left for the straight roads. We put in a dynamic if you want to have a little bit of fun. Immediately everything tightens up around you. The steering, the weight is more, the throttle feels more sensitive, the suspension firms up a little bit, and you roll a little bit less in the corner. So when you're putting lateral loads in, it doesn't, roll you around as much. And it's reasonably fun. Look, this is an EV. You do have blistering performance, but it doesn't have an engine that stirs your soul in any way. It is very clinical, sterile performance. If you don't mind that, you can have fun in the A6 e-tron. But otherwise, in terms of a dynamic package, it is very sorted. It feels nimble, it feels quick, it feels controlled, and yeah, a lot of fun. The big party trick with all these EVs though is that instant acceleration that they have off the line, and that continues with this car. You get on the gas and it just shoves your head back into the seat back, and you can pick up speed very effortlessly, makes overtaking on the highway, all of that very easy. As for ride quality, it's a little hard to tell on these drives because the roads over here are so phenomenal. This island of Tenerife, I thought it'd be a small island, narrow roads, not so great infra, but it's phenomenal. It's next level in terms of the roads over here. We've been driving through some national parks and now up to the volcano, and they're just absolutely flawless roads. So yeah, high-speed ride quality on the highway, I can tell you, very flat, very composed, just as you would expect an Audi to be. But low-speed ride over bad roads and the stuff that we have to deal with in India, honestly, I'm gonna have to wait till we drive this car in India to tell you that. So yeah, overall, very impressive. This PPE platform is an important step for Audi. It is underpinning their future, literally. All of their EVs in this segment are going to be PPE, and a lot of them are coming to India. Q6 e-tron, A6 e-tron. So exciting times for Audi in 2025. We can expect this to come here by the first half of next year. So what do I make of the Audi A6 e-tron performance? I think it's a very nice car. It does a lot of things right. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it feels luxurious, it looks different, and it does all of that without completely giving up on the performance front. It's quick when you want it to be, and it can handle. It's a very interesting proposition. In terms of its rivals in India right now, we only have the BMW i5, which is in a slightly faster state of tune, the M60 variant. That's its only sedan-like rival, but you have a lot of SUV rivals on offer. We don't know pricing for the A6 e-tron just yet. I expect it to be priced at around rupees 1 crore when it does come to India, but who knows what Audi is going to price it at. But Audi India, don't delay too long. Get this to India as soon as you can. It's a very interesting proposition, and it'll definitely liven up your lineup in India at the moment.